maskaxdii dunidu malaasan mawjadaheeda kala miirtay ee macnaysay maarkii qarsoona.
Assalamu alaikum. Now we will again continue the same unit. After vocabulary, we have Proverbs. Now, Proverbs is not a new concept in oral literature. We have done it in grade 9. Students have done it even in primary level. We know what Proverbs are. But for us to to make our students understand Proverbs and the use of Proverbs and why Proverbs is very important in language and the message they carry and all the imminence of Proverbs, we have developed an objective, just like the way we had objectives for other segments like reading comprehension, writing, the listening and speaking, and other genres of literature. So the objective will be discuss Proverbs and explain their meaning. When we say proverb, just like that, plainly, it might seem very simple, but a proverb is very important. When we want to explain the meaning of proverb, basically we have two meanings: explicit, implicit. The explicit meaning, the upper meaning, the outer meaning. Like, for example, if you say, if you take an example and you say a proverb, two heads are better than one, it might seem very simple to understand, the upper meaning. But deeply, there's a deep meaning which means that unity is strength, that what two people can do, or when two people bring their heads together, what they can produce is far much better than the idea produced by one person, however talented or knowledgeable that person is. Two heads are better than one. Now, discuss Proverbs and explain their meaning. These will be our objectives. Now, how do we go about that to go into details to studying this unit, this lesson? Ask the learners to read the Proverbs and explain their meanings. Now, there are a list of Proverbs in the textbook. In this unit, we have given list of Proverbs. Some with their meaning have been explained, and others are not. So it's the student to find the meaning with the assistance and the aid of the teacher and their external knowledge, because learning is a process. Since they have already studied Proverbs, it's our assumption that they have read more Proverbs. There are many places, many sites, many resourceful materials to access Proverbs, and they can go and look for the meaning of Proverbs. They can even go home and ask resourceful people, because literature, there are people who are very resourceful in literature, oral literature, poets, Proverbs, riddles, all this. So ask the learners to read the Proverbs and explain their meaning. Example, we have two examples here, two Proverbs here, which I want you to note very carefully and deduct one. Discuss yourselves. Try to discuss what these Proverbs mean. Then explain their meaning, what each one means explicitly and implicitly. Explicit means, what does it mean from the outlook? Like, if people come together, they can even mend a crack in the sky. Although this might raise a philosophical question, the sky has a crack, it's not human power for human beings to mend. But this proverb emphasizes the importance of unity. The importance of unity. That if people come together and reason together with the will and the skill, they can achieve a lot. They can do much. So if people come together, they can even mend a crack in the sky. Explicitly, the outer meaning, they can mend a crack in the sky. That's what it means. But is that the meaning if you want to explain? No. If you want to explain, the explanation is that unity is strength. Unity is strength. If we unite and we are all seeing things from one perspective, heading to one direction, and we want to do this, then we can do what we want to do. Ignorance is blindness. Ignorance. If someone is ignorant, he doesn't know, he is like a blind person. It is blindness. This means someone who is ignorant, the outer meaning, someone who is ignorant cannot see. Ignorance is blindness. But what is the implication? What does it imply? Implicit meaning. Implicitly. Deeply. What does it mean? That knowledge is wisdom. It's only when you know that you can do. They say information is power. If you are informed and you have the information, you have the power. Okay? You have the ability to do something. So poems have features. When you are teaching poem, discuss Proverbs and explain their meaning in the course, grade 9, 10, 11, 12, throughout the syllabus. This is not the only objective of Proverbs. Student must know what Proverbs, their importance, why are they used, the features of oral literature, genus or forms. One is proverb. What are the features of Proverbs? If you look at these two examples, you can see if people come together, they can even mend a crack in the sky. One, these are very few words. They are very few words. Ignorance is blindness. Only 3 words. But the knowledge it carries can fill a whole book. You can write a whole book out of it. What does that mean? Poet, one feature now, one characteristic of a proverb is it uses words economically. Not more, so many words, few words. They are words, few words that carry wisdom. What is the importance of Proverbs? Ask the students. Why Proverbs? Why do we use Proverbs? What's the importance? And some of the answers they will give you. Note it down. And for you as the teacher, study these journals of literature. Look at for the features of Proverbs. What are their importance? I know some of them you already know. They are there to educate, to warn people, to educate people, to warn them, to encourage them, to unite them, and so on. So ask the learners to read the Proverbs and explain the meaning. So when they are explaining, they must explain in 2 of the ways that I have highlighted. One, the outer meaning, and 2, the deeper meaning, the knowledge and the message it carries. Because they are proverbs of different type. They are those related to social responsibility. They are those related to religious responsibility, socially. They are those related to work, yeah. They are those related to morality. Patient pays, for example. Patient pays, yeah. The early bird catches the warmth, yeah. First come, first serve. Punctuality. These are words of wisdom which carry knowledge. So the student is learning language. He's learning language, meaning of words. He's learning communicative skills in listening and speaking. He's learning life skills. Yeah. He's enhancing his orature, his oratory skills. Because those people who, when they speak, use proverbs are better speakers than those who use plain languages. And in literature texts, writers don't use plain language. As we will see in poetry, we will see in poems, people, and we have already seen, people don't use plain words. They use literature, linguistic words, yeah? Which we are going to see when we will be analyzing poetry, the next lesson, language and style of literature, linguistic devices, techniques used by literature artists. Yeah. So the next lesson here will be an objective here, write an imaginative composition on given topic or topics. Topic, bracket S, topic or topics. Meaning, after every unit, at the end of every unit, we have a writing segment related to what is read, or some imaginative essays related, which is not related, but has relevance to what has been studied, either in that unit or previous unit. So this is an objective of our writing lesson. This you must indicate. You must tell your students you are going to write an imaginative composition. Yeah? How do I go about it as a teacher? The methodology you are going to use. Before they start writing, you know, when you tell a student, write an imaginative composition. Write a composition about the proverb. Ignorance is blindness. Every student is going to write a composition. But is that our objective? No. The writing must be meeting the conventions of a good written essay. The student must produce the appropriate required response that meets the general objective of the course. These are the topics you might give the students. Write a story ending with the following sentence. Ending with the following sentence. These are the sentence. Ending with the following sentence. This is a sentence. The events of that day will remain printed in my mind forever. The events of that day will remain printed in my mind forever. Not the beginning. Your story, write about anything. You can write about an accident you involved and you survived. You can write about there was a bomb blast somewhere and it has remained, its impact remained in your mind. It might be something very positive, a very happy moment that you enjoyed. Maybe a travel anything, but it must end here. So it end here means what? That means you should not write anything you want, and then finally the event that day printed in my mind forever, and you have written it. No, it should be relevant to the topic. Don't allow the student to write out of context. It should be within the context. That story is written, and the ending must be coherent. They must be coherent. So how are you evaluating? Since it is a written composition and you're going to check the response of the student, these are some of the things that you authenticize the response of the student, whether this student has achieved the correct composition, writing response. Number one, look at the topic he has chosen. How he has developed the content, the body, the sentences. How coherent is it? Was it flowing or just random? Yeah? Is it a story that when you read the first sentence, you want to read the next and the last and the second and the third, the second paragraph? Is it interesting? Is it flowing? Is it making sense? Is it following? How about the vocabulary he or she is using? Is he using good vocabulary? Has he employed the knowledge he has learned? Yeah? Has he used recurring words? Or he has used the synonyms of those recurring words? Yeah? Has he used imagery, metaphor, similes to bring vivid, to create a mental picture in the reader's mind, such that you feel, when you read the essay of the student, you feel the way he has started the setting, the plot, the geographical setting, the weather, the way it's described, the time setting, the vocabulary, the imagery, the metaphor, similes, the rhetorical questions. Has he created dialogue, conversation between two? All these criteria. Was it well punctuated? Has he paragraphed it well? Coherence. Was it coherent? Was it flowing or just random? Does it meet? And you can say this really is an essay. Those are the things that you must check, not just for the sake of writing. Yeah? Spelling errors. Has he how far has he avoided spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes? Are all his or her sentences making logical meaning? Is the essay complete? How has he concluded and connected it with the ending now? All this. You must, before teaching this lesson, you must make a preparation yourself. Yeah? Learn these techniques, the writing techniques, creativity. Because we are checking the student creativity. We want these students to be students who can communicate in the English language, both in the spoken and written mode. Or B, write a composition to illustrate the saying, a tree is known by its fruits. This is a proverb. Write a story or a composition to illustrate, that shows, that illustrates, that explains this saying, a tree is known by its fruits. So already the student has a title, a tree is known by its fruits. He can choose a different title, but dwell on this proverb. Now, as I have said in the first essay exercise, the student is free to write on any topic. Similarly here, he should choose the topic, yes, but it is the choice of the student to either agree with this proverb or disagree. He can say a tree is known by its fruits. He has chosen the topic, yes, but when he or she is writing, he can choose to say, I don't disagree. I hardly believe in the idea that a tree is known by its fruits. But he must give genuine, tangible reasons that persuade you so much that you say yes. Because your aim is not that a tree is known by its fruits should be something which is a principle that everybody understands. The point is, for the linguistic purpose, student to learn language through writing skills, and the creativity of the student, and the essay writing ability of the student. So you're not telling the student you cannot disagree or agree, because this can be an these kind of essays are called expository. Two sides. A student can choose, yes, a tree is known by its fruits, but sometimes you cannot judge a book by its cover, you know. And this proverb can be compared. A tree is known by its fruits. You can judge a book by its cover. They are somehow similar. But a student can argue and tell you, I don't agree that a book is a book. You can judge a book by its cover, because some books, from the look, they can be very appealing, but to the content, you know, when we are talking of books and trees here, we are talking them explicitly, but implicitly we are meaning people. We are talking about people, yeah, like father, like son, you know. So we are putting this in real life perspective. You cannot judge a book by its cover. You can sometimes judge a book by its cover. You cannot judge by a book by its cover. It's a proverb. But sometimes you can judge a book by its cover, because when you read the title, you can say this book, or you see a name of an author, a writer whom you know, and you don't doubt his intelligence. You say, I'll pick this one because of the title. Another student will disagree. So sometimes the student can write in two angles, disagreeing and agreeing, both in one. So the assessment will be written composition. Then when you are assessing, when you are marking the response, you follow all those criteria and make sure you give the student their feedback. Such essays, mostly, they are marked out of 20. Out of 20. If a student gets 10 out of 20, if a student gets 15 out of 20, 12 out of 20, 5 out of 20, give every student his feedback. Sit with the lowest to the highest. Encourage them. If you have got 14, out of 20, try to get 16 next time. If you have got 5, try to get 7. Show him where he or she has erred, where he has made mistakes. Correct him. Encourage them. And the best way to teach essays and how to produce good essay writers is giving them literary reading materials. Create a reading culture in the class. The school library, look for reader books. Tell them to read. The more they read, the more they write. Prolific readers are prolific writers. and prolific writers become good speakers. So this is integrated, as we have always said. So the best, as I've said, the best way to create a good writers of essay and the way to encourage writing in the class is encourage reading. Because the more the student reads, the more vocabulary he or she gets. Some of the students will not write essays. They don't like writing essay because of lack of good guidance, maybe for the part of the teacher, and lack of reading culture. Maybe they don't have the reading resource. Let them practice, give them reading materials, and always check their feedback and make corrections and encourage them. And hopefully they will going to improve. With that few remarks, this lesson will end here until we meet again. Thank you for now.
kala miirtay ee macnaysay maarkii qarsoona